Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, before we start this podcast, I want to let you know that I am running a weekly giveaway every single Wednesday on my Twitter account, @Brodes81. And this week we are giving away an awesome Ben Simmons player tee, and it's so simple to win. All you need to do to enter is follow my Twitter account, once again, @Brodes81, and retweet the pinned tweet that explains the rules. That's it. Next Wednesday, I will be picking the winner. Do not miss out on this chance. And by the way, there will be plenty of more fantastic prizes. We just gave away a Bryce Harper player tee, and just saying, maybe we'll be taking the step up from that very soon. What the hell was that? 9-0? They just got obliterated. This isn't AAA U16. This isn't Junior B up in Canada. All right, this is professional hockey. This is the NHL. You don't get your ass kicked like this. This is an embarrassment, as you heard from the coach, as you heard from the captain. But that was a disgrace. Totally unacceptable. Myers, Sanhiem, -6. Bunneman getting beat back door. Turnovers every single possession, it felt like, in the D zone. Getting beat to every loose puck. No back checking at all. For them to have their third guy high, wide open by, 600 feet, which makes no sense if you know the dimensions of the ice surface. But that's how much time their third man high actually had when they would have an odd man rush, which was essentially every single possession. It was one of the craziest things I've seen. Zibanejad scoring whenever he wanted to. He scored 3 goals in a row for a natural Hattie. When he entered the zone, let's say Panarin enters the zone and he has poise, he has patience. Zibanejad is on the right side, wide open, beats any defenseman, and it's a tip or a nice little, it wasn't really it was a shot, but it was just a nice release, wide open net. Past Carter Hart. I feel bad for Carter Hart. This Flyers team is in a tough spot. You had to yank Brian Elliott when you have a back-to-back situation going on for you. You had to utilize both goalies, and they both got shredded. It's almost as if, wait for it, for everybody who thought, Brian Elliott's not bad. It's just Carter Hart. It's not the defense. The defense doesn't look as bad when Brian Elliott is in it. I seriously heard that debate. I heard that question being asked. How come the defense doesn't look as putrid when Brian Elliott's there? It does. It does. It's brutal. Phil Myers getting destroyed. And some of these things, too, you won draws. There was a play where the line of Sean Couturier wins a draw back to Sanhiem in the defensive zone. He rims the puck around. It gets up, getting swallowed around the other side by the wing. You lose a puck battle. It squirts out, and bang, there you go. The Rangers score. How about on the power play? You're in the offensive zone. You win a draw back to Ivan Provorov. He falls over. He literally loses his balance, trips over the blue line, it looked like, and there goes Zibanejad for Carter Hart to try and make his first save of the night. It was terrible. It was a nightmare, and it was so cringeworthy to watch. Luckily, the Sixers were on at the same time, so for the whole 2 TV concept, at least you had the Flyers off to the side, out of sight, out. Get the hell out of my face, assholes. They got bent over. It's exactly what happened. They got bent over and abused by a team that they should be able to beat easily. Oh, did I fail to mention that the Rangers didn't even have their coaching staff? They didn't have their coaches due to COVID-19. So it reminded me of, not the same way, because by no means is having some of your coaching prospects, if you will, step up and coach. That doesn't relate to what happened to Toronto when they lost to a emergency goaltender that was a Zamboni driver. That's significantly worse than what you just witnessed on the bench from a coaching angle, but it does have that vibe to me where really you lose to a team that doesn't even have Quinn behind the bench. They don't have their leader. Maybe that's what inspired them, though. I was thinking, is it possible, knowing that Quinn is not on the bench, it's, hey, fellas, let's step up. Let's play for Gord Murphy. Let's play for any of these other guys behind us right now. Let's go. Let's show them. Let's fight for them. I'll tell you what pissed me off the most out of everything I saw, which is so much, considering Claude Giroux, JVR, Voracek, Bunneman, Farabee, all -3. Phil Myers, Sanhiem, -6. They were -5 before the game was halfway over. That's impossible. It's hard to be -5 in one hockey game. They were -5 halfway through a hockey game. Making piss-poor decisions with the puck. Gap, way off. How is your gap that brutal? To the point where you're not even stick lengths away. One stick length. You're not 5 stick lengths away from any forward coming your way. What are you thinking? Now, there was some bad puck luck involved. One of the goals hit off Phil Myers and went past Brian Elliott. You had another play where it was a 2-on-1, Zibanejad was going backdoor, and Phil Myers slides on his knees to block the passing lane, and it looked like it went through his skate, almost went through his toque area of his blade, and went right to Zibanejad's stick. It's as if when Phil Myers laid down, it actually helped go tape to tape instead of maybe tape to skate, which would have allowed the netminder to get across and possibly make the save. There was some bad puck luck involved, which makes me wonder, because when there's a beatdown like this isn't normal, this isn't standard, this isn't how professional sports goes. This happens once in a blue moon where a team gets the doors blown off of them to this level. So do you chalk this up to one of those games? And some of it is yes. As bad as this defensive core has been, it's not 9-0 bad. There's a reason why 9-0 to the New York Rangers hasn't happened yet this season. So this isn't standard. At the same time, all of the issues you saw, oh, that's standard. That's their identity. That's who they have been this season. Throwing the puck up the middle. How about Claude Giroux? You know how I feel about him. I love Claude Giroux. But you're throwing pizza deliveries right up the middle for Lafreniere to try and score on Brian Elliott. But luckily, Elliott made the save with his glove. And I'll be honest with you, Lafreniere has been extremely disappointing. That's the type of player that when you get a grade A scoring chance like that, you gotta bury. And I think I even heard Boosh say that on the broadcast. You expect this kid to be able to score that type of goal and score in that type of chance as he grows in his career. But let's be realistic. Even the other night, when they played the Rangers and the Flyers won, I didn't hear Lafreniere's name once. Maybe once in overtime. That's about it. Lafreniere has been an extreme disappointment, in my opinion. And are we spoiled with Crosby and Ovechkin and McDavid and Matthews? And should we be more with the open eyes of Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes? Everyone's their own player is my point. But Lafreniere, you thought he had a little bit more pop than this. You knew Jack Hughes was more of a prospect and a growing type of player, and you know when some of these players need time to develop, and I'm cool with players developing. You don't have to come in guns blazing right from the jump, but what you've gotten out of Lafreniere, it's not enough for my liking, just from a pure hockey player standpoint. I would at least expect him to be a little bit more effective into some of these games. The one point he had on the night, because when you see 9 goals, it's like, okay, what did the first overall pick do? He had 1 assist, and it was on one of those bad lack of back-checking shifts where, yeah, when you have that much space, I pray to God you're able to make a pass to the third man high who was able to dish it backdoor for another one. I really do feel bad for the goalies. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you, the thing that pissed me off the most, I didn't even get to it yet. Nolan Patrick. What? What could that possibly be? Why could that possibly be? How could that possibly be? Well, the fact that he didn't score on Georgiev pissed me off. And the Rangers scored just moments later. You have a wide open net. You suck. You suck. You're bad. Nolan Patrick is bad. Nolan Patrick gets beat all the time. Nolan Patrick loses stick battles. Nolan Patrick doesn't stop in the D zone. The other night, when the Flyers played the Rangers scored their 4th goal in that 3rd period where Carter Hart got beat high glove. He got destroyed in the corner, didn't stop on the puck, tried to do a flyby. Yo, you're doing a flyby, dude? You're getting your ass beat every time you're on the ice, Nolan Patrick. And here you are against Georgiev. And I don't even think that would have been the difference in the game. I'm not saying that would have stopped the bleeding or that would have allowed the Flyers to win this game. They would have got their asses handed to them no matter if Nolan Patrick scored there or not. But, dude, I can't stand you. I cannot stand the fact that you're struggling. Here you are. You got to play significantly better than where you are. Here you are with the most wide open net in the world, and the toe save? You couldn't get the puck up higher? There was about, 7 feet of wide open twine, and you're shooting it a half inch off the ground where Georgiev can slide over and make a toe stop. Lift the puck, dude. So yeah, after all this, somehow my frustration pours out the most because Nolan Patrick is a bust. Nolan Patrick is not good enough, and I can't stand it. Don't sell me the migraines. Don't sell me this or that. Nolan Patrick is not good enough. Sorry. And it's extremely frustrating to watch him play. Now, Alain Vigneault told me and told everybody else in the listening audience that they're trending in the right direction. How? Explain to me how that is the case. I see a team that has no fight, no juice, and even the leadership. They stepped up the other night, and I loved it. Voracek, Giroux, they really battled and put the team on their back. Well, on a night like this, someone's got to do something. And I'm not the biggest fighter in the world, you know that. I'm not an advocate of, hey, you got to drop the gloves. And another part of this, too, is why would the Rangers fight? That's one thing that I can't stand with this argument. There's a lot of old heads saying, well, this team doesn't fight. You're down 6-0. Fight. Fight someone. Make a statement. Who is going to fight you on the other side? They're not stupid. It's 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. They don't need to fight. What's the advantage of the Rangers? Hey, yeah, let's give them any sort of momentum. Now, the smart thing to do would be not to fight. If the Flyers were up 7-0 and they elected to fight, and then they ended up winning 7-3, 7-2, whatever the case may be, and they still won, I would still question, what the hell was your thought process? Why would you even allow them to have any sort of momentum, to gain any sort of traction, to get any sort of life? What is the reasoning behind giving them life? There is none. So be better. That's what I would say if it happened to the Flyers. So with that being said, while I would have liked, if the Flyers could have gotten the fight, then I would have liked them to do it there. That's where you just make some noise to your team. Just give your team something. Even if it means nothing for tonight. You play the Islanders tomorrow. And you shouldn't need a fight to get a big smack in the face after losing 9-0 to this putrid Rangers team. It shouldn't need a fight to get you inspired. But it's something. It shows some sort of life. And they were talking about this during the broadcast, and I hate to resurface it, but with this whole Chuck Fletcher making a move thing, considering the expansion draft is in play, the more and more I think about it, you might have to chalk it up to one of those seasons, unfortunately. It's bad timing that the expansion draft is going to come in play now when you really need the defense. But if you give up Ekholm, and it gives you, it takes a, they were talking about this is the hypothetical they brought up, where it takes a first-round pick. It takes a real blue-chip prospect. It takes maybe another minor prospect to go out and get Ekholm, who will be here for the remainder of this season and all of next season. And then now you have to look at the way that you are going to protect players. Now you're not only losing your draft capital that you just traded, which I'm fine with. If it was just draft capital, I would be okay with getting a player like Ekholm that can really help out. It would have to be the right price, but I would be okay with making that type of trade. You're in that position now as a franchise. Make trades. It's not about the prospect pool anymore. It's help your team get better. Make trades to get established guys. Help out your team with veteran players that you need during a season and even in the offseason. You're at the time now where it's okay. You're out of rebuild. It's okay to move on some draft picks as long as what you're acquiring is the proper return. So with that being said, now it's like, okay, you might lose a Phil Myers. You might lose some of these other players that you don't want to lose. And yeah, tonight's a tough night to say, hey, you don't want to lose Phil Myers. But a good GM, the emotional fan right now would say, Chuck, do anything. I don't care. Get rid of anyone. I don't care. That would be the irrational emotional fan. I do care, though, about more of this bigger picture. And I do care about Chuck Fletcher making moves that make sense long-term as well and not just the right now. So I know a couple episodes I said you owe yourself the right to find out what adding a player, because you lost Matt Niskanen on the D-core, and then you fell apart this miserably. So you owe it to yourself to find out what one legitimate defenseman would do. With that being said, the more and more I think about the expansion draft, I keep going back and forth. I'm not denying it. There's a day I wake up and I say, do it. Then there's a day I wake up and I go, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to overpay and then lose someone in the expansion draft that you need to tie together then with the compensation and go out and get a 1 year and a half of Ekholm. Is that worth it? Now it's what you lose in the expansion draft is now added because you're going to want to protect Ekholm. So now you lose another player, and that's added to, okay, what did I give up for a year and a half of Ekholm? So now I keep questioning it. Is it worth it? Every day I think differently about it because it's such a hard decision. It's not easy. It's a tough conclusion to come up with. But if I'm Chuck Fletcher, I want him to think that way. I don't want him thinking about Sally or thinking like Sally the Fan in Section 231 or Billy the Fan in Section 118. I don't want that because that normally is the poor decisions. I want this to be logical, and unfortunately, logical might be you might have to experience the rest of the way like this, or you get help, but it might not be a huge piece because you don't want to give up too much. A piece that would be, hey, just a backstretch of this season, nothing special, will be better than what you have, but not elite, game-changing, not trading a first-round pick, just a solid guy that will at least give you some sort of structure. Ghost was scratched for this game, by the way, and not that I'm some Ghost advocate, and I think that he has had terrible moments. I think he had some really tough games. He's also been one of your better goal scorers as a defenseman. I was shocked to see him fully scratched, quite honestly. I think that he needs to limit his role. He needs to be a 5-6 pairing type of player that gets power play minutes. I do think that that is something that you need to utilize him with based off of your personnel. I'm not saying full time. I think he's in and out of the lineup type of player when you have a proper roster constructed. You don't now. I was a little shocked by the full-on scratch out of Ghost, just considering he has had some nice moments countered by some terrible moments, but so has some of these other players. Maybe it's like, hey, Ghost, it's not really about what you're doing, even though you're not doing great. It's more about I need to get guys into the lineup, and you're that player that we take out when we need to get other guys in. But Gustafsson, dash. Myers, dash. Sanhiem, dash. It was tough. It was tough to watch. You know what's not tough to watch, though? March Madness. And March's biggest tournament is finally here. We do not know who will be cutting down the nets at the end, but we do know there will be no shortage of madness. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog, win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Turning $4 into $256 is 64-1 odds. Every dollar you bet could turn into $64. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset. That's code Brodes to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Oh, this is so sickening, though, watching Lemieux win all these battles in the corner, working extremely hard, watching Trouba get wide open in the soft areas of the ice. How many goals were someone in the slot wide open or right off to the slot, right off to the side a bit in these soft areas where they had so much time and space to get off a one-timer and they had so much area of the net to shoot at? I felt bad. You know, Carter Hart gets thrown into this mess, and here comes Zibanejad full speed down the right side of the wall, and he flicks it. What's it? Hit bar down. It hits one of the posts. Maybe it was the back bar. Regardless, pings down for one of his goals during the hat trick. Good luck, Carter Hart. I felt so bad for both of these goalies. You want to talk about their subpar play compared to last year? Well, guess what? Everything in front of them sucks. And when everything in front of you is that bad, you're screwed. You cannot hold this team together. No goalie in the history of professional hockey would be able to make this decor not look as bad or keep this team involved. This is what happens when you have this style of defense, and it's pretty damn crazy that it flip-flopped to this level of disastrous in one season. Look, Matt Niskanen is not Steve Yzerman. He's not Nick Lidstrom. He's not you know what I'm saying, though? He's not these Hall of Fame level defensemen. He's not like your true franchise number one level type of defenseman. He's a very good, sound defensive defenseman. But he wasn't that elite. Like, what happened? Unbelievable. All right, why don't we head on over to the phones? Curious how this goes.
So not one, but two of the Philadelphia sports fan bases are pissed off tonight thanks to a certain choke and a certain blowout by a team I'm going to prefer to talk about right now, because what in the literal fuck did I just watch? I just saw diarrhea get spewed all over the ice. I believe I just fucking watched this game. It was a complete waste of time with my fucking life, and I need to know what kind of crack Elaine Vigneault is smoking, because if he thinks this is heading in the right direction, he's dead wrong, because it looks like the 50th anniversary Flyers. Complete fucking trash. I fucking hate this fucking team. I'm going to choose to watch the Sixers instead, but if I'm going to need to enjoy that, I need Ben Simmons to step the fuck up.
All right, we'll let you go on your own Sixers tandem another time. But with the Flyers, yeah, you nailed it with the whole Elaine Vigneault message thing, and I questioned that days ago. What is this? This is such a brutal message, and they really are basing it off of shots. That's what they're saying. Well, we weren't generating a lot of shots, so now that we're out shooting our opponent, we're on the right track. We are all bought into the system, and it scares me that Claude Giroux, JVR, they're all saying the same message as if they believe it. They all think that this is true. If they just pepper the goalie more, that automatically results in better play, and that's not the case. While during their time of not generating enough offense, yes, we wanted more shots, and we wanted you to throw pucks on net from angles and all, but it needs to be strategic. And just because that's happening, that doesn't downplay everything that's happening all around the ice in all these other areas. You're not on the right track if you're throwing more pucks on net, but your decor blows. And you can't even get a stick on puck. You can't get in the proper lanes when you're trying to put your stick down to block a cross-crease pass and it gets through easily. So what is this whole mindset that you guys believe in? Because, okay, we're on the right track because we're shooting more. How do you just pretend the other side doesn't matter when specifically last year, one of the reasons why we love this team so much and one of the reasons we praise this team is because they limited the other team's grade A scoring chances and they were able to keep players outside the dots and they were able to limit their offensive time, the opponent's offensive time in the D zone, and you would be able to counter and go on a rush and have an on-man rush and have good puck movement where, you know what, you'd have such good scoring chances where, bang, you'd be able to score off of them. It's not about the 50 shots, 40 shots, 30 shots, trying to get all these shots. 50 shots, 40 shots. Jesus. Oh, man. It hurts. It hurts my heart.
You should. Terrible. Disgusting. There's no words. There's no words for this team. This defense is so god-awful. It's time to... I think it may be time to panic. It's time to hit the panic button here.
I'm laughing at the delivery on that message because there's so many different ways that you could feel about this loss. It could be your standard pissed off 9-0 loss, which I tend to feel that way. And there's also a mixture, though, of laughter, right? Because when it gets that ugly and it gets that embarrassing, it's almost you start laughing because you're nervous. People do that all the time. When they get nervous, when they get scared, they might laugh because that's their natural body reaction. But when you see goal 6, goal 7, goal 8 go in, and you realize the Rangers have 32 goals in the second period alone on you, it felt like, well, you start laughing like, this is hysterical. And it's hysterical in a painful way. So there's so many ways, but I bring that up because that caller, it felt like deep depression was fully it. Didn't seem like there was laughing there. It's full on panic mode, and I'm with you. I tried to feel out this division. I tried to tell myself that there was a possibility that there are so many flaws in some of these other teams that your flaw would be damaging to who you were, but maybe you'd be able to slip in. But it's hit this rock bottom mode. It is now to the point of, I don't know if there's going back. You're how many games in, and this has been the product for 98% of the games. So this is who you are, and some of these other teams might have flaws, but I thought that maybe the Flyers' flaws would still allow you to hold into this. I just don't know if that's the case because tonight was an all-time low, and it can sometimes spiral too far out of control. Tomorrow will be telling for me. This is something where you got to manage it. Stop the bleeding is almost an understatement. If they go out and they beat the New York Islanders tomorrow, where they had to put Anders Lee, their captain, on LTIR, so they're losing such a big piece to who they are. And you're going up against Barry Trotz, who's very structurally sound. We all know what his style of play can do as we date back to last year in the 7-game series against this Flyers team. You know that he counters well, and he's a very damn good coach. If they go out there and they handle business against the Islanders, maybe it gets put aside a little bit. You would need more than one game to tell you what this team is going to do to bounce back, if you will. But let's say, I'm looking at their schedule now. They play the Islanders Thursday. They play the Islanders Saturday. They play the Islanders Sunday. Monday. If they take 2 of 3 against the Islanders, do we feel differently about this team? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Right now, it's hard to sit here and say anything other than, this team blows! Fuck this team! It's very easy to have that reaction, so the answer would probably be to everybody listening right now, of course I wouldn't feel any differently. But as time moves on, 9-0's not going to be something that's very common. So if they do take 2 or 3 against the Islanders team, that team's at the top of the East. That team is a team that's competing with Washington and competing for these other opponents for this top spot in the Eastern Conference. I don't know the answer, though, and until we experience it, until we see the context, until we see how it's played out. But there's no doubt that this first game against the Islanders will be very telling. If you see a 5-1 loss with 9 turnovers in the first period and 3 turnovers in the first 4 minutes of the second period, and you have all these miscues defensively, and it really turns its ugly head even worse than it already is, well, then I'm in real fear. I need to see what this Islanders one is, though. But yeah, I mean, in terms of me now questioning what this is all about this season, and are we going to see an out of the playoffs type of year, the realization is definitely settling in more of the possibility than I've ever felt this season. So it sucks that I'm here. It sucks.
Well, that was an enjoyable evening of Philly sports, huh? From the 76ers going El Choco, watching Giannis piss in their face by sitting on the logo at midcourt, to whatever the hell that was that represented a hockey team tonight. There's no sense breaking this down. It just gets more and more embarrassing each game. Not a playoff team, and the off season cannot come soon enough.
It scares me to think about the direction of this franchise, and I know everyone wants to break up the core, but there's a lot in play here. There's no trade clauses in play. There's a lot of money tied to some of these players. Not everybody wants these players. You want to get rid of them? Well, that doesn't mean other teams are just going to be like, oh yeah, you know what, makes a lot of sense. Let's grab those older veteran players that Philadelphia wants to move on from because they're underachieving. Now, that doesn't mean a player like Voracek or some of these older players can't help other teams. You get into a new environment, you get into a fresher spot, you're trying to make a playoff push. No, yeah, but you got to keep in mind Voracek's contract. You got to realize the no trade clause with Claude Giroux. So it's not as easy as let's just kick these guys to the curb and freshen this thing up a bit. You kind of have this core, and it's kind of a reality. So I wonder, did we overachieve so much last year that the expectations became unfairly too high, or are they underachieving this year and we deserve to get on them and expect more out of them, or is this who they are? Like, there's so many ways to angle these questions towards the franchise. Was last year a real description of who they were, or did so many players overachieve at once? Did Kevin Hayes have an unbelievable year, that's not who he's going to be. We questioned that contract for a reason. Well, I think he overachieved last year. He might become a different version of himself, a step back from what he was last season. There was a reason why we questioned it. There was. He had an awesome season last year, but is that who he is every year of the contract? So it seems like he took a step back. It looks like Travis Konechny took a step back. Of course, Ivan Provorov took a step back, but that's what happens when your D partner changes every single shift. Not even every single game, but every single shift, it seems like. Oscar Lindblom, obviously, has taken a step back, and we know the circumstances there, and I'm willing to give him more of a free pass than anybody else, although I'm still going to get on him because he needs to produce more. We're clear of his situation. So if there's anyone I'm willing to understand more than anybody else, it's Oscar Lindblom, but Nolan Patrick is a stiff. You're not going to be able to win a lot of hockey games. It was last year a product of everyone having a good version of themselves all at the same time. While this year, everyone seems to be having more of a realistic version of who they are and to some degree a step back from who they are, and that's resulting in this miserable, sloppy play. And it blows my mind because it's so simple. It really is. The plays that they are not executing and the mistakes that they're making, they're so fundamental. It's so flawed. It's so 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old type stuff that you learn. Making simple D-to-D passes, rimming the puck hard enough, winning your battles, effort. That's the type of stuff that they're losing within the D zone. For the D core to not be able to make simple breakout passes and to throw pizzas up the middle of the ice, and it's the forwards too, and it's the lack of support. There was a play the other night where Jake Voracek tries to hit Claude Giroux swinging at the blue line as he's giving center support, and it's not even close to having enough time and space for Giroux, so it gets picked off of him instantly, and it results in the other way. But you're giving the puck to Giroux, who's supporting without looking up and looking at how much time and space he had. You put your teammate in a spot to fail. So it's forwards as well in the D zone that relates to the other teams getting some big scoring chances. It's fucking brutal.
Bros, what the HE double hockey sticks did we see tonight at this Flyers team? Shutout. I'm calling you during the game. 2 minutes left. Flyers are down 2-0. But what happened tonight? I understand Carter Hart's been struggling, but you're not giving Carter Hart a chance. Help Hart out. I understand he's still so young, but we're struggling this bad against the New York Rangers. We want to make the playoffs? We're not a playoff team. Carter Hart's still so young, but we're struggling this bad. We got to fix it.
I don't know how you fix it. I don't know if the fix is possible this season. That's where you are this year. I think you have to ride this thing out and play it smart long term. That's where I'm at now. And I know, I'm telling you, there are times where I flip-flop because I see both sides of it. And some days I'm like, screw it, you got to find a way. And then there's other times where I realize, and when I analyze it, the most proper logical way to look at this is you might not make a move. It might be that ugly. It might be that bad. And with the expansion draft, because of the poor timing, if it's any other year, I think we're having a different discussion about it where you have to give your team a shot. I'm not saying make no moves, so you can definitely help out your team, but I guess I'm talking that you have to limit the sexiness of the pick. You would have to limit the explosiveness of the trade, because you now have to think about what you're going to lose to Seattle when the Kraken come into the league next year. And you mentioned Carter Hart a few times. There's no blame, literally zippo blame I put on the goalies tonight. And if anything, this should put it in perspective on how bad it really is in front of them both. So with that being said, with over 20 years of experience in the industry, Orbit Energy & Power is home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure that your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely. There's no risk and no need for investment. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It is all down below. Thank you so much for listening. Screw this hockey team, and I'll see you next time.